All right, welcome, Stream Live Tampa. Special edition here in Bradenton, Florida. This is Jim Delaney. We're at Square Up Academy, as this is the first week of the first year of the Florida Gulf Coast Summer Collegiate Softball League happening. We have a very special guest that's going to be a part of today's broadcast, Gray Robertson from the SEC Network Plus and Crimson Tide Sports Network. We're here. There are 7 teams this summer for the first collegiate summer softball league here in the Gulf Coast of Florida. All 5 division levels are being represented, over 50 schools around the country, roughly 100 college softball players for the first ever summer league. Long overdue.
Absolutely.
Big time. So today here at Square Up Academy, we're going to have some coaches and some players. As you can hear, everybody's taking some BP in the background. And our first guest of the day is Stormy Kotzelnick from the Manatee Squeeze, and she will be going to the University of Washington. Stormy, welcome.
Hi, Mom.
There you go, got it out of the way.
Stormy, as a player just coming out of high school, you're going to play at a major Pac-12 team next season. How important is it for you to be able to hone your game and kind of knock some of the rust off with this league this summer that's starting out?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important because for me as a softball player coming in and being one of the youngest here, I feel like this really is going to set the tone for me. Not just here, but I know that Coach Tar is going to be watching and she's going to be, evaluating what I do here. And so this is what's really going to make my mark and prepare me for what I'm going into.
I'll be sure to keep some of my Alabama-Washington comments.
Yeah, let's keep that out of the way.
Coach Tar, great, it didn't take you long. You couldn't hold back.
It didn't. So you're going, like I said, to a very talented team. You've got Sis Bates over at short, labeled by ESPN the best shortstop of all time a couple weeks ago, as voted by the fans, and you're going to get to learn from her and the rest of that very talented Huskies infield. Have you been talking with them at all leading up to your college career, or have you been communicating with the team whatsoever?
Yeah, I communicate with them as much as I can. I just got added into team meetings and stuff like that, so it's really great that I can be a part of it and learn coming into the team and be super open-minded with the girls and stuff. And it's not necessarily about how much I even have to talk and communicate to people like Sis and Tat over at second, but it's really just about watching them through all these years that I've been able to be committed and just learn from them through example.
Yeah, what was it about Washington in particular? Because you were saying earlier that you committed at a really young age. What was it about Seattle that stuck out to you so much that you wanted to go there?
I would 100% not even say that it was Seattle, but Coach Tar.
Okay.
Coach Tar, hi, you are my inspiration, my everything. I love you. And she is what sealed the deal for me 100%.
So now that we're here in Bradenton, you're with the Squeeze. You've got a lot of players who've come from the Power 5, especially a couple players from the Big Ten. What have you learned from them the first couple days of practice in these scrimmages and just talking with them that you can take into college?
Yeah, so obviously none of them are from the Pac-12, so it's really good to hear a different side of how softball is being ran around the country right now. And I think something that I've really learned from them is just how much in a day that you're going to be doing. So it's really good for my mindset to prepare for that for my college, especially because that's just how you work hard, and they've really shown me and talked to me about that. Yeah,
Stormy Kotzelnick here with us as we break down, I guess it's FGCL Media Day.
Yeah,
right,
I guess it is, yeah.
And before we let you go, Stormy, which by the way, top name maybe here in the league.
Thank you.
We've got a little rapid fire list of questions so that the fans out there can get to know you a little bit better. So just first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
You have not seen these questions, I hope not. The notebook was out in front.
Gotcha.
Okay, pre-game meal. What are you eating before a game?
Oh God, Starbucks, definitely bacon Gouda sandwich.
Strong choice. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, and who are you listening to? What music?
Oh, rap all day, pre-game rap.
Artists in particular?
You're really getting me off guard at the moment. I don't know, maybe Lil Baby, some J-Day Youngin.
I don't know who this people are.
I figured you wouldn't. That's why
okay.
it was hard for me to pick someone.
we trust you, Stormy. We trust you.
All right, what Netflix show did you binge during quarantine?
All American.
Really? That was pretty popular.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Same with my daughter. Loved it.
Yeah.
I did not watch it. I watched Outer Banks. Yeah. Okay, favorite player of all time?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know if I have one. Maybe Jen Salling. Yeah.
Okay.
She's a former UW player.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, toughest pitcher you've ever faced.
That's a hard one because
know.
if you know me, you know I don't give a lot of credit to pitchers, but probably Miranda Elish.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I'm very excited to see you this summer. Very excited to see what the future has in store for you at Washington. And thanks for hopping on with us. This was
Yeah,
fun.
no problem. Thank you guys so much for
thanks,
having me. I
Stormy.
really
We'll see you at
appreciate
the
it.
games.
Okay,
Absolutely.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank
It's,
you.
Stormy Kotzelnick joining us. Thank you, Stormy. And she, from what I saw in the scrimmages, she's got an insanely bright future.
Yes.
First at bat yesterday against the Slice. I think it was a long single, right, to the wall. Yeah. Very impressive. So it'll be fun to watch the squeeze.
It will be.
In the
It will be.
inaugural season.
I know Mario Hernandez, the head coach, is super excited, and he knows he's already said it. He's got, hey, we got the most talented team. So the fun smack talk has started already between the coaches and the players. But everybody that we've spoken with this week, Ray, they're super excited for the opportunity of this league. I think more so because they're thinking the sport itself has needed this for so long. And all of the coaches are like, man, we're having so much fun. We can't wait for the girls to actually get in competition in games, and they're going to have a blast. A couple of the coaches have even said, since they're trying to get to know their own teams, we're not even going to go with any signs at the beginning. If you want to steal, go steal. Go have a good time, and then we'll amp up the competition and the competitiveness as they go along. So, again, we're here at Square Up Baseball and Softball Academy in Bradenton, just south of Tampa. Stream Live Tampa's episode number 8. We've been doing shows most of the summer. Once we got into quarantine like everybody else, and as we're slowly starting to come out of it. And this is the inception of the Florida Gulf Coast League Summer Collegiate Summer. It's the first of its kind for college softball players to have a place to play. And oddly enough, I think it's kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Like we were saying with coronavirus and quarantine and stuff like that, that the hunger that the players, coaches, all these teams are independently owned, and the organizers, it's even more so. They're more hungry for this because they haven't played since March.
March 12th was the day everything shut down, and as somebody who is one of the radio guys for Alabama softball and calls softball for SEC Network Plus, I've fallen in love with the game the last couple seasons. Absolutely. And it was really devastating when the season cut out. Things were just getting interesting. College softball had seen the most insane February, maybe in history. Certainly at the D1 level, you had more upsets than ever off-ranked foes. And it suddenly came to a stop. And you could see it in the scrimmages. The competitive nature of these players has already come out in games that are inconsequential. But they want it. And they've already bonded well from what I can tell. There's a lot of chanting from the dugouts already happening. So
they're taking pride in these new names.
They are, yes.
I know before Stormy came on, one of our teammates was sitting here. They were already saying, the Squeeze got the best team. So, again, they're having a good time, but they are definitely ready to get back into competition. Just like most of the country, whatever, youth, high school, college level, once they start getting back and playing, they're ready to go. But at this level, like I said, there's over 50 college softball programs represented with these players and coaches, and all 5 division levels from D1, D2, 3, NAIA, and JUCO. Doesn't matter the level. They're all ready to get out in the field, and it's refreshing and kind of fun to see them take pride in their names. Yeah,
and I think what's also interesting about it, we just met a young lady who's from Indiana but going to Washington. She's with a couple all Big Ten players and a couple that were on the all freshman team in that conference. Also a member of her team, Abby Stewart from Clemson, who just started their softball program last year and unfortunately didn't get to finish it. But you've got people from all over the country on all of these 7 teams, and it's going to be fascinating because each of them brings a different kind of experience, a different kind of mindset,
Absolutely.
a different kind of level of competition that they face. For some, it's going to be a step up when they play a
Correct.
D1 batter, and we'll see if they can rise to the occasion. It's just going to be so interesting because all these teams are meshed with so many different levels of playing.
Correct.
And it's
Correct.
going to be really fascinating to see how it all works out over the next 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, again, at the end of the day, it's they're college softball players from different division levels. The interesting ones are the ones from NAIA. It's a different governing body than the NCAA, and a lot of people around the country, no matter what sport it is, aren't aware of what the NAIA is. But there's a few of them, a handful, I think, at the most, that are. I know there's a pitcher coming in. She's going to be facing kids like Stormy
Right.
that are going to Pac-12 or have played for Clemson or are all Big Ten freshmen of the year. But that's good for all of them, and I don't think none of them are going to look at each other and be like, "Well, you only play at this division level." They're just going to go out and play, and they're going to galvanize for their own team names, and the team names are fun. I know she was talking about one before we went on air. There's the Squeeze. And again, these teams are all independently owned. There is last year the FGCL started in Pinellas County in St. Pete area for baseball. Then it was smaller. There's a second year of that for baseball over there. So a lot of the baseball owners own some of the softball teams as well. So some of these team names, we'll just go through them real quick until we get our next coach or player to come on board with us. One of the team names is Fast Pitch U. I know that's head coach Pete Barrios, who's one of the assistants at Furman. You have Impact Softball. Head coach Ashton Hines. I believe Bethune-Cookman. Played at Bethune-Cookman for a long time.
Yeah, and some really interesting names on here as well. We saw Leanne Matthews in Tuscaloosa this year playing for Penn State. And that's another team that I think is really fascinating. Kelsey Bennett at Virginia Tech, really talented player. So that'll be a fun team to watch because I'll be interested to see how they gel with a lot of power players on that roster.
Absolutely. And then, and interesting enough, and in Stormy being the first player guest that we had, there are roughly 10, I think, players in the league that are actually going into college, have not actually played in college yet. So they're considered the signees. I mean, they're committed signees. I mean, everything's done deal, obviously, by this point. And that'll be interesting to see the players even more because they're going to be facing that here coming up here in the next year as well. What's the next team we got here? The Lynx. I know I talked with Lindsay Fico, head coach from Santa Fe College here in Florida up by Gainesville. She's got the Lynx, and she actually has quite a few kids that are going into college. Looks like 5 of them on their roster. And I see D2, D1, different division levels represented here as well.
Yeah, and again, this was a team I was watching last night in scrimmages, and a couple players popped out. Danny Bauer in the circle was fantastic out of University of Charleston. Abigail Morgan from Florida Atlantic pitched really well last night. Gabby Ruiz, I walked up, she immediately hit a home run. First pitch I saw. So out of Liberty, we'll see. And then also an SEC player, Haley Lee out of Texas A&M. That'll be kind of fun. My mother, as well as everybody on that side, they're all Aggies, so I think I know what team they'll be going for. But it's a solid roster. And then, Devin Flaherty at Florida State, another player from the ACC who was a regular starter for the Seminoles this year in 2020. So it'll be really fascinating, again, to watch how that team gels and to see if the offense can match what looks like a pretty talented pitching staff.
Yeah. Absolutely. So next team we got with the Pioneers, the legend Erica Beach, head coach for the Pioneers. That's a little different as well. Indiana Tech, Huntington College, Campbell, Southern Utah, players from, again, around the country. They've got one kid, Brooklyn Lucier, if I'm not butchering that name, that she's signed going to NC State. I know the Ball sisters. I had spoken with them before they had gotten out here. They were connecting with us on social media and Twitter. Again, everybody was excited about, games being live streamed and, this show right here. Again, it's exciting. I know. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying,
Go.
Of pitching staffs, this is
Yes,
my favorite.
that's what
of
you
the
were
ones
saying.
I've seen.
Yep.
I watched them rotate 4 in and completely shut down the River Mocs last night. And again, it was a scrimmage, and there were a couple things that I noticed, a couple control issues here and there, and that comes with the rust that we've seen as these players come back.
Of course.
But I think the ceiling from a pitching staff perspective is highest for the Pioneers. I think all four of them have the capability of really being shut down in this league this summer.
Okay, that would be something interesting to follow. And we talked about the River Mocs, and I think Stormy was kidding about one of her roommates plays for that snake team. If you're not from Florida or this part of the country, you do not want to see one of these live. It's one of the 4 poisonous snakes down here.
Yeah, I'm out. If I see one,
and
you're on your
City,
own, I'm out.
And Mayaca City, where the owner is based out of, is just north of here, outside of Bradenton, and there's plenty of these there, so they won't be at the ball fields. But Coach Transu, spoke with her yesterday, one of the assistants, legendary player at Hofstra. She's from University of Missouri as an assistant coach down here, and she's very excited about her team as well.
Well, I'll just throw in about her. I was talking with her yesterday because we have a lot of mutual friends. She was teammates with former Alabama grad assistant, current Wichita State pitching coach Morgan Lashley. Shout out to Morgan. And also current Alabama pitcher Sarah Cornell, who transferred from Hofstra. And we were just talking, and Coach Transu is so excited about what Larissa Anderson is building at Missouri. And that was a team that got off to such a hot start this year. They opened conference play with a sweep of Ole Miss before everything got shut down. And this was the year where they had the sanctions. And she was explaining that in the language that the NCAA handed out, it wasn't you are sanctioned for 1 year. It was you are sanctioned for the 2019-2020 academic year. So they are hoping, even though a full season didn't go by, that the sanctions will be lifted. Obviously, it'll be tough to find out about that for a while, as the NCAA has a lot on their plate right now. But if Missouri is ready to go next year and eligible for the postseason, that is a team that could really shock some people in the SEC.
It's interesting that you note that about how the wording is with those sanctions. But yeah, the River Mocs, when I spoke with her yesterday, she was super excited as well, and she was speaking very highly of University of Missouri's program and the future of that. They have, looks like two signees, kids coming in. But again, there's a Division II program, Nebraska Kearney represented. Truett McConnell up in, I believe that's up in Georgia, a Division III program represented on their roster. There's another kid, one of Stormy's future teammates, Ari Quinones from Washington.
Yeah, and this was another team that gave up a run early in the scrimmage against the Pioneers and then shut them down with that pitching staff. Again, I'm going to be talking about pitching a lot this entire summer.
It's softball.
Yeah.
I mean, pitching is important in baseball and softball, but softball, you can get lights out 1-0 games, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and in particular, Maddie Davis out of UCF. One could call her a Supreme Court pitcher because it's all rise, and she keeps it up in the zone. But she walked a couple people, but got a lot of strikeouts as well last night with that rise ball. She's going to be fun to watch. Jenny Jansen out of Southern Illinois, I believe it was our friends at Justin's World of Softball who highlighted her as one of the players to watch in this event. And she's coming out of a Missouri Valley Conference that plays really good softball, and she's been all-conference multiple times. So, again, this is another team that if they can gel, because that's the key with all this, right?
Absolutely.
Which team can bond and gel the quickest and use that to take advantage of what is essentially just a month-long season.
Sure. Yeah, it's roughly 5 weeks. They reported on Sunday with orientation and how it's been going with them getting their lodging and everything done. I do know they all had to go through different CDC guidelines, getting their temperatures checked and stuff like that, making sure that was all squared away with Manatee County guidelines down here. From Monday, Tuesday, and today, during the day, they all come here to Square Up Academy, get their BP in. I know there's some pitching lanes and there's a catching tunnel on the other side of the building. And then in the evenings, they did scrimmages the last 2 nights. And I think they have their own separate practices tonight, later today. So it's a quick 3-4 days to gel personalities, coming down here, managing their free time. Beaches are not far from here, and there's great beaches right around here.
I hope to take advantage of that at one point over the next 5 weeks.
I know a couple of the coaches look like they have taken advantage of it, looking from their red faces. But between that, because they do want to come down here for 5 weeks and have a good time, and take advantage of beautiful Gulf Coast of Florida. But yeah, all of that is how quick can they gel? How quick can they? And then when they get on the field, then you start doing X's and O's and figuring out who can do what. It's roughly 13, 15 players per roster. Some a little bigger, but again, it'll come down to pitching. You had said Pioneers, they have 4 solid arms. So early on, the preseason for the first season, preseason team to beat maybe, I don't know. But they all are healthy, competitive with each other. I know the coaches have had some friendly ribbing with each other. Hey, I like my team. I think we'll be, we can't wait to play you guys and stuff like that. Speaking of Pioneers, looks like 3 of them walked in. Yeah,
the Pioneers are just arriving. They'll be hitting, I believe, once the 11 o'clock hour rolls around.
Correct. The next team, I know Coach Snyder, Gina Snyder from Arizona, has the Slice, the Bradenton Slice, and she was pretty excited to get her girls together. And I know she was saying this week, we were talking to her yesterday, I believe, because she had played at Arizona, and it's not too long ago. She's like, I wish we had this league when I was. Same with Coach Transu. She was the same thing. She's like, this is why I want to coach in this, because I appreciate what it is for these players, and I would have loved to have it myself. I'm sure you come across players all the time.
Oh my gosh!
What they're wanting to do. So it's really kind of shocking that it's taken until 2020 to have a collegiate summer softball league.
Well, the growth of this sport is really remarkable, and we've seen the ratings over the last 5-10 years. All the credit in the world to the crew at ESPN. Meg Aronowitz does a great job marketing that event, getting people interested, but also people are just following it earlier. I remember last year, Alabama, Texas, and Super Regionals reached over 1 million viewers, which is huge for Supers. And
absolutely.
And when you've got people tuning into the St. Pete Clearwater Lead Invitational, especially the marquee game that last night, like Florida State UCLA was this year, and that I think doubled or it really increased the ratings from a year ago. I mean, that just shows how people are more interested in this sport and following it much more closely. And so now you're filling that need for softball in the summer with this league, and it's really amazing that it never happened before.
Exactly. I know from the big baseball fans out there from the college level, the Cape Cod League up in the Northeast they were really the first ones and became the biggest one over time for college baseball players to play. And you always hear about, hey, I'm going to go play Cape Cod. That's pretty prestigious honor to do that as a collegiate baseball player. And that's what this league is trying to do, become that model, or equivalent of the Cape Cod League for college baseball. And again, FGCL, they're going to term it in the future. And I can tell you, just with the quality of talent and coaches and excitement from the players, coaches, all the way up to the organizers. And I know Leslie is going to be here at some point. Leslie Ginder has been a huge part of getting this. We had her on our last show a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. We had her on, and we were talking to introduce this league coming up. And it's been a lot of work from behind the scenes, getting it organized, getting the players down here, and they're just so excited to do this. So yeah, the Slice. It's like, what are your thoughts on the Slice's the roster here? I know she was talking about Lindsay from Towson, the catcher, yesterday.
Yeah, she's fun. I mean, she's fun to watch. Really interesting character, and this is another team full of people with a lot of potential offensively, and there are a lot of hot bats in this lineup potentially. Look at Kenzie Goals, who started out at short yesterday in the scrimmage. She was nabbing ground balls all over the place. She wasn't really known for her bat when she was at Mississippi State or when she transferred to Florida, but I'll be interested to see if she can get that going, because I think she'll be in the running to replace Sophia Reynoso for the Gators in 2021. Bree Roper at Georgia Tech, a player that hit over 350, 360 in 2019. And then you've got Megan Sheehan as well at South Florida, who had really taken a big step up in 2020. My one issue with the slice, notice there are only 3 Ps on the roster.
I said that though.
Yeah, this is one of the thinner stabs, and Madison McPherson is a really fascinating matchup. She was at Georgia, transferred to Georgia Tech. I need to talk to her about that. I don't know how one can do that.
I know.
But she did, and she's a lefty. She's got all the tools. She was very good last night. Really, one of the few pitchers I've seen shut down the squeeze in the scrimmages that we've seen. And then you've got Isabel Kelly out of James Madison. She's seen time competition as well.
Sure.
And Brittany Krausen. So it'll be fascinating to see how that pitching staff evolves because you've only got 3 arms.
Correct.
So if somebody's in trouble, the other 2 have to pick her up immediately, or else it could get really tough.
Yeah.
So there's more pressure on these pitchers than maybe any other team in the league.
Absolutely. And not that they're labeled and they shouldn't be by what division level they play at, but some people will look at a roster and go, oh, she only plays at Newberry. Might not mean anything. It probably doesn't at all. But you're right. Only 3 pitchers. And Gina's excited. She was pretty excited to get them out there and go out and have some fun back on the clay. So yeah, it would be interesting to see the slice. And then the last one, I know we had one of their players, the Squeeze. The Manatee Squeeze, head coach Mario Hernandez assistant coach from Jacksonville University. He's got a really experienced assistant coach, though.
Championship mindset.
Yeah, Garson Gordon from Florida State, played at Florida State. She's now down at Palm Beach Atlantic as a GA, helping out that program. But you looking at this roster as well. This seems to be the roster, and Mario's fun. He seems to be leading the way on. Hey, I think we're going to take this summer. I don't know. That's just how maybe he's portraying that. I know what you're thinking.
I wouldn't hate the pick. I'll tell you that because again, this is another team with only 3 pitchers. But I think again, it's early. We'll see.
Of course.
But the best pitcher that I have seen in the scrimmages is Jenna Green, who plays at Presbyterian, and she's got it all. Rise, curve. Her changeup is nasty, and then she can match that up with her curveball and her rise. She's got all the tools, and she's able to get herself out of trouble. Last night in the scrimmage, gave up a walk and a hit, struck out the next 2 batters. Everything was fine. She's just got all the tools, and I'm really fascinated to watch her because another player who had a great start to 2020, and then this is the team with Stormy, who I was frankly not aware of. I usually don't keep track of the players until they show up on the rosters, but she's going to Washington for a reason, and she was very impressive in the scrimmage. And then you've got Slapper out of FIU and Alexis Johns, Jordan Wolf at Louisville, another player who had a good 2020. You've got a pair of Northwestern players, including Kenna Wilkie, who can go both ways, can hit and pitch. And then Jordan Cadlip had a wonderful catch against the wall last night, robbing what would have certainly been 2 or 3 bases from a slice hitter. So, again, this is a team that if they can come together, if they can find the magic, get that special sauce, they could really, really run through this league as long as the pitching with the 3 arms is able to hold itself together. No, absolutely. Where this league is going to be played, what we did was just kind of a brief rundown there of the 7 teams, get Gray's expertise and his background and what he knows about the players from being part of the Crimson Tide Sports Network and SEC Network Plus. And obviously, big thank you for, coming down, being a part of this. I know you're super pumped just to be back around the game again. Oh, gosh. And then, plus we had been talking about this, and when games get live streamed, and we can announce now, the games will be live streamed with a partner of Stream Live Tampa. Is called Game Vision. They'll be on gamevision.io, and you can see one game, you can do a season. There's different price packages that Game Vision has, but myself and Gray will be calling games through Game Vision. Our puppet master could be doing some technical direction in some games as well. I know we're going to head out to the fields at least after everybody's done hitting here, and check out the setup and all that, where the games are being played, because that's probably pretty important if around here. Yeah, people can come.
People can come.
Socially
Yes.
distance yourselves,
There
but
is.
you can come.
They're at Palmasola Complex in Bradenton, on the west side of Bradenton towards the beaches. I went out there yesterday afternoon. It's the perfect social distancing
Yes.
look. There are no stands behind the backstop. I can be honest, as a coach and stuff like that, I think that's fantastic. There are 2 stands, little mini grandstands down the foul lines on each side. Great complex, 2 beautiful fields. They're ready to go. That's where most of the games will be Monday. The schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday at those fields, I believe. Friday night games and Saturday the games are in the morning and the afternoon. Those on the east side of 75, next to Lakewood Ranch High School, big complex there as well. And I believe in July there's 2 Wednesday nights. They'll be in Madeira Beach in Pinellas County, another beautiful complex. So it's going to be kind of spread out for the most part in the Bradenton area, but there's a lot of great complexes down here, beautiful places for girls of this level and things like that, and for this league to play at. So that'll be exciting. But you can always watch the games on gamevision.io. We'll put that, I believe, you can see that on social media. It's on the FGCL site. But you'll see and hear Gray and myself probably separately for the most part, so we can have more coverage for everybody out there. But I think at times when there's just one game on a weeknight, we'll probably hop on and sit next to each other and have a good time. We'll also have some guest color analysts.
Yeah.
With myself being from the Tampa area and in love with this sport as well, there's a lot of great people that I know that would love to come on for an inning or 2 and come down. And obviously Gray coming down here from Tuscaloosa. So
Well, I'm sure there's somebody in the Bama U network down here that we can have on.
let's see if we can grab Mario here. See if he can hop on. So yeah, again, here we're from Square Up Baseball Softball Academy in Bradenton, Florida. This is the first week of the first ever season for the Florida Gulf Coast League Summer Collegiate Softball Summer, and we've got one of the coaches, head coach Mario Hernandez for the Manatee Squeeze. Mario, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I promise I won't call you Coach Hernandez. He texted me this morning. He goes, "That's my dad."
I appreciate that.
That's okay. That's okay. Mario is assistant coach at Jacksonville University.
Yes, sir.
So you're from, down here in Florida.
I'm actually from Chicago.
Okay.
So born and raised in Chicago,
Nice.
and then this is my first year in Florida, so I love it.
Yeah.
You can't really compare the weather from the Midwest to
No,
south, so
no, and I
love
know
the sun a lot better than the snow. I'll tell you that.
absolutely, absolutely, and you just as much as anybody else, being a coach, so eager to get back on the field. I mean, you had said I haven't hit a fungo
Yes,
in
yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
So how are the players? Well, how are they feeling?
Yeah, they're awesome. They're having a lot of fun, which is great. They're having a blast, and it's really good to see that because they haven't done anything for the last 2 months,
I know.
and they haven't been around a team in the last 2 months. And so, just kind of seeing the excitement on their face and seeing how excited that they are to be here and to kind of be back on the dirt is truly awesome to see. And Carson, my assistant, we talk about it all the time that this is kind of what they needed to kind of get back to being sane again.
Sure.
And kind of getting out of the Netflix.
Same with you guys.
Yes,
Same
same
with
with
you
us.
guys.
Yes. So being off for 2 months, it was like we watched a lot of Netflix. Took care of ourselves, did a lot of podcasts and everything. But like I mentioned to you, my first fungo hit, I think I hit it 5 feet.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. So the front toss, the arm was a little sore after the first day of front toss too. But
of course.
that's normal.
So
but
back down the
it's-
side to your right.
back's
You
a
got
little
right here,
sore,
yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's good. I'm just happy to be out here and
Good for you, man.
to be around the game again.
Yeah, good for you.
Yesterday, you talked a lot to us about Jenna Green,
Yeah.
pitcher out of Presbyterian.
Yeah.
And, I thought, okay, I'm very excited to see her. And then I went to the scrimmage last night, and boy, she's got all the tools.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
fun has it been to get to know her coming in and to see what maybe she could do in this league?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll tell you what, we won't put him on the schedule for next season because I definitely don't want to face her at Jacksonville. But no, she's awesome. She's a great kid to work with. Super humble kid, very quiet kid. But when she gets on the mound, she just turns on. It's that little switch that she turns on to where it's game mode and she's ready. And you know, her 3-pitch mix that she has is it's excellent. And it's so cool to see. And I watched her bullpen on Monday when we came for the first day, and she threw a changeup, and I'm like, I'm glad she's on our team. That's definitely. I'm glad that she's pitching for us in our circle. But she's great. She's a good kid to have around. Whatever you ask out of her, she'll do without hesitation. So she's an awesome kid, and you know, we have it's a pleasure to coach her this summer.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or go ahead, Jim.
I was going to say we had Stormy on earlier.
Yeah. How was that?
Exactly how you described.
Yes, good.
Exactly how you described it.
She's going to be a pro at these kind of things while she's at Washington.
Yeah. She's a kid like I mentioned to you guys that she's like a senior in college right now. She's so mature for her age, and you know, just the leadership that she brings to the team, and the talent that she brings. And you know, when she swings, a lot of girls they're looking at her and they're kind of trying to mimic kind of what she's doing. It's awesome to see that. And you know, one of our big thing is, you know, we don't want to overcoach this summer, and we want the girls to help out each other. So she's already been a key proponent of that, to help out the girls and kind of teach them different things that she knows how to do. And you know, whether it's turning double plays or whether it's you know, working different defensive situations, she's helping the girls out already. And so it's really cool to see that early. And you know, props to her for understanding that and learning that at a young age. And so I'm excited. I texted her the other day, and I'm like, I'm excited to see her future. You know, I think she's gonna have a bright future, and I think she's gonna do some really good things at Washington.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see her up with Coach Tarr. And you know, speaking of coaches, I mean, you've got an assistant who's won a national championship in the last couple of years in Carson Gordon, out of Florida State, now with Palm Beach Atlantic. How did that partnership come about? How long have you known Carson, and what was that first conversation like when you talked to her about joining your staff this summer?
Yeah, so we actually have at Jacksonville University, Madison Kennedy. She's one of our catchers at Jacksonville, and she played and she won a national championship with Carson. And when I was looking for my assistant coach, I reached out to Madison. I said, hey, you know, just kind of shooting it out there, like, hey, you think Carson would be interested in coaching? She sent her a text, and Carson texted me back right away. She's like, hey, I'd love to hear some more information about it. And we just started chatting, and so finally, like, it was a good fit for both of us. And so she became my assistant, and you know, every day I'm so thankful to have her on the staff. You know, kind of mentioning to you, Jim, like what she brings to the table, like winning a national championship, that winning mentality, going to a World Series, winning a Super. And just Amita at Florida State, like, that's awesome to have. You know, a lot of these girls, you know, just when she talks, you can just see their eyes just kind of get locked in and just listen to her. You know, now I'm trying to catch up to her ring-wise. Like, she's got me beat on that aspect of it. But she's great to have around, and you know, she gets it, which is awesome. And I'm super excited to have her. And you know, our big thing is just staying on the same page, and we've done that since day one. We've been talking for the last 2 months, just figuring out kind of what we wanted to do and what we want to accomplish. And every day we talk about what we want to accomplish, and we're all on the same page with everything.
That's good.
So I mean, I know that I can be at third, and she can have a conversation with the kids over at first base dugout, and it's not even a question of whether I wonder what she's telling them or if she's giving the right information. It's about, like, I know what she's going to say, and I know it's something that is going to be beneficial to our girls.
You know, that's interesting, because we were talking about how these teams are going to be successful as teams in this short time frame, 5 weeks.
Sure.
Who comes together the quickest, who gels. That's just as important, if not more important. Coaches on the same page. Because they're coming from different areas and stuff like that, and you have to reach out, hey, this is what we're doing. You were saying a month or two that you've been communicating on what your goal wants to be. What do we want to accomplish? That's just as important, right?
I think that's kind of what made us so close right early enough, like where we're at right now, because we have been communicating. You know, we've done fake calls together. We've done you know, phone calls together, text messages back and forth about implementing stuff for offense, implementing stuff for defense. So it wasn't like, hey, day one, let's throw everything together. You know, both her and I are we like to plan. We don't like to just kind of run things on the fly. We don't feel like you can be successful that way. So we kind of wanted to sit down and put everything together and give the girls enough time to study it. I mean, that was the big thing too, is we didn't want to put bunt coverages in on Tuesday and then expect them to get it perfect on Thursday. So I mean, we gave them the bunt coverages on 2 weeks ago so they can study it and kind of look over it. And just so that way they have an idea, because every program runs things differently, and we knew that going into this, that people were going to learn, people learn different things from different programs. So we wanted to keep it as simple as possible. You know, the more that we try to overcomplicate things, the more that they kind of have more things in their head that they need to remember. And it's like, oh, I know I run this at my school, but this is different here. So it's like, okay, the simplest bunt coverages that we can come up with, that's exactly what we're going to do. So
even at this level, because you see it from the youth, high school, all the way through, sometimes it gets overcomplicated. And you had said try not to overcoach.
Yeah.
Right? And let them communicate with each other.
Sure. Yeah.
Just as important here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're big on not overcoaching. We want the girls to play because at the end of the day, the only way that they're going to get better is if they can help themselves out and help their teammates around them out. And so kind of, going back to Stormy, I'm in the dugout, and when we're in the scrimmage game, I'm telling her, hey, what bunt coverage do you want to be in here? Letting her pick it so she can learn and she can understand, if she does fail, she knows that, oh, okay, I know that I did it that time. I'm not going to make the same mistake again versus me, just making her be a robot and saying, hey, we're going to be in this coverage every single time. So, I want to see them fail because then they can learn from that and get better from that.
Absolutely.
So from a coaching standpoint, you're meeting a lot of these players for the first time. You're seeing them play really for the first time in a lot of cases. How quickly do you put together an idea of what your infield is going to look like or what your batting order is going to look like? Did you kind of have a rough image of it after the first scrimmage, or is it still kind of work in progress right now?
Yeah, it's still working itself out. What I did is once I figured out who was on my team, I watched some video of some games on ESPN that I was able to pull up and just to kind of see kind of how they are, looked at their stats, and just talking to different coaches that I know that I have connections with about different kids and about, hey, how is this kid over here? Where do you think you can see them in the lineup? Different things like that to try to get a feel for it and get an idea of what I think that they can do. But we're still going through that right now, just trying to figure out the lineup and trying to figure out who can play where. And the great thing about it is a lot of these girls can play infield and they can play outfield, and so they can play different spots.
Yeah,
and
flexibility.
Yeah, and it's funny because we had a kid come up to us the other day and she's like, hey, coach, do you know I play third base? I'm like, I didn't, but now I do. So if you want to get some
make
time,
note of that.
Yeah, exactly. Put that on the.
That might make it a little bit easier if this happens.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So we're still learning, and we're going to continue to learn throughout the entire season. Even as we make a run in the playoffs and hopefully into the championship, we're still going to be learning.
Sure.
And that's the luxury of coaching is you're always learning something new. I'm a firm believer on you don't ever know everything about coaching. You always can pick up and learn something new every single game, and that's why we're excited about the group of kids that we have is because every game and every practice and every hitting session we learn something new about them, and it's cool to work with them on some of their flaws because once they get it, they kind of have that aha moment on their face, and it's really cool to see because just to kind of have that on their face and see the reward from it is that's why we do this. That's
Exactly.
Why
I was just going to say that's why you get into coaching.
Yep, exactly. To give back and to see those aha moments and to see those moments where like, oh, I finally understand that. That's why I do what I do. So
Good.
it's
Good
an
for
awesome
you.
It's an awesome job.
Good
I
for
love
you.
it.
Yeah, and we appreciate it as college softball lovers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You were talking about Netflix earlier. Ask them to.
Sure, we can go rapid fire.